people we meet on vacation has fallen into the same trap as a lot of book adaptations. While many give the film praise and say that maybe it's a revival of rom-coms, it was quite a disappointment to me. And so today I wanted to go over the major problems with it. But first, let's start with a little recap. The story revolves around Poppy and Alex. Poppy is the loud, extroverted, spontaneous, doesn't like standing still and silent kind of gal. On the other hand, Alex is the quiet, loves routine, homebody type of person. They become two very unlikely best friends who have a yearly tradition of traveling together for 1 week in the summer. The movie goes back and forth between showing us the present and the past. We first get to the present and we find out that Poppy and Alex had some kind of falling out and that they haven't talked in 2 years. They get reunited in Barcelona for the wedding of Alex's brother, and it's awkward between them. Then the flashbacks start. In the flashbacks, we get to see their summer vacations together, and in those same flashbacks, we see their friendship growing deeper and deeper with each vacation they take. These flashbacks are then contrasted with the present and their distant relationship currently. So the big question and the big mystery of the film is what happened? If you don't know, I'll get to that later, but let's just get to the first problem, which is the characters. The characters don't feel like real people. They feel like rom-com characters. And some might say it's a rom-com movie, so shouldn't they feel like rom-com characters? The answer is no. By rom-com characters, I mean characters that are exaggerated and embody one single character trait, thus making them feel really unrealistic. Once something feels unreal or looks unreal to us, we, the audience, immediately clock it, and the make-believe of movies starts disappearing and we just lose interest. I mean, there's a reason why we start clocking out once we see this. There's no CGI in this movie, but the concept is the same. It's not the environment this time, but the characters that feel unreal. Let's talk about Poppy first. With the first meeting between Alex and Poppy already, it's like the movie is screaming at us that she's the loud, extroverted female lead. Poppy and Alex first meet in college when they get connected to rideshare together because they share the same hometown in Ohio. Right off the bat, the movie starts giving Poppy really weird lines.
Oh, gnarly, are you okay?
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Were you born in Linfield? Natural? C-section?
In the scene, it might not be perceived as weird because we know it's a movie and that Poppy is just a character, but that's exactly the problem. We know that a character like Poppy would never exist in real life because if she did, she would be really obnoxious and weird, and I don't think anyone would actually like her. Also, a good movie makes us forget that it's a movie. But since we register Poppy immediately as a character, that movie magic is gone. The scene goes on and it shows Poppy also not respecting Alex's time by showing up an hour late and also eating and splashing a burrito in his car. With the scene, we immediately understand what the movie is trying to do. It's trying to serve us Poppy's personality on a platter and scream at us, "Look, she's the opposite of Alex. Do you get it?" But we don't need that to understand. I feel like they could have toned it down a bit and still achieved the same goal of showing us who Poppy is. They didn't need to make her obnoxious and weird to show us that she's extroverted and out there. And honestly, after this scene, instead of rooting for them to be friends, I question why Alex didn't kick her out of his car. Let's move on and talk about Poppy's parents. It's not a rom-com if you don't have a parent with condoms and a dad who talks about sex.
What do you think we're talking about?
Sex. What do you think we're talking about?
I don't think I need to say much about these clearly rom-com parents, but I'll give the movie credit for this one. In this particular instance, it looks like the movie was very aware that they're making exaggerated characters, and because of that, it was funny. The last character I want to talk about is Sarah, who is just used as a plot device. Her role was just being the on and off relationship of Alex and being the opposite of Poppy. We hear a lot about her in the beginning, but it's just Alex or someone else talking about how she and Alex just broke up or that it's over.
Wait, he didn't tell you? They broke up.
Didn't you say that Alex broke up with his girlfriend?
Poppy, we're not even together. We just break up all the time.
Invite Sarah.
That's over.
And then she doesn't actually make an appearance until the last 40 minutes of the film, when she joins Alex in one of his yearly trips with Poppy in Tuscany. And all her lines are literally directly or indirectly about Poppy.
Can't believe I finally get to meet the famous Poppy. It's gonna be a little jarring with you here, who is Alex gonna be texting nonstop.
I understand that the movie is about Alex and Poppy, but we know almost nothing about Sarah except the fact that she's sometimes Alex's girlfriend, sometimes not, and that she's bitter about Alex and Poppy's relationship, which, to be honest, fair. Like, she just exists to be a foil to Poppy. And then, on the same trip, Alex gets mad at Poppy and proposes to Sarah the next day. I did, though, like at the end that they expanded on her character a little bit when she, spoiler alert, after her engagement with Alex fell through, she became a flight attendant, a career that she didn't really see for herself before. This just shows that she does exist outside of Poppy and Alex, which honestly she should. Overall, the best rom-coms are always when you give us real people in rom-com situations. Obviously, the characters can embody tropes, but once you oversell it or make them one-dimensional, it's over. Now, let's get to that big question of what happened, which also is problem number 2. So, what happened between Poppy and Alex that turned them from this
I love it when you get weird.
I'm only weird when I'm with you.
to this? So this is kind of what drives the movie. We want to know how their relationship progressed and how it abruptly ended. So there's high expectation to give us a really good reason. So there's a book and I read it, but embarrassingly, I forgot almost everything that happened in it. So I was kind of like a new viewer to the story as well. So I also had high expectations and I wanted them to give me a really good, really juicy reason to explain their fallout. And what happened is, I'm not too sure. They almost kissed, which first disappointment. And then a fight between them happened for reasons that kinda came out of nowhere. On the trip in Tuscany, Poppy gets a pregnancy scare. She is currently with a guy named Trey, who's also on this trip, by the way. While comforting her, Alex and Poppy share a moment. Poppy leans in, and Alex stops at the last second, and then proceeds to get mad at Poppy for reasons that are entirely unclear.
What am I to you?
You're my friend.
So it seems like he got mad because Poppy leaned in, basically called it a mistake and called him a friend. Which the thing is, they are friends and she should apologize because they are both currently in a relationship with different people who are also on this trip. It would be a completely different story if they were both single. I actually don't truly understand what is bothering Alex. I mean, I can see where they were going with this, but to us audience, it's unclear. There should have been lead-ups of maybe Poppy giving him misleading signals, or build-ups of misunderstandings between them, or even like little arguments. But because we've got nothing of that sort, and because this is actually like the first time that Poppy has ever crossed the friendship line, it makes Alex's reaction and the problem come out of nowhere. Anyways, after that, Poppy and Alex have a conversation, and all of a sudden, Alex disapproves of Poppy's lifestyle.
You would think that. Because you live in a fantasy land, Poppy. Always running away to new places, new friends, new connections.
Again, no build up or anything like that. We have never seen Alex disapprove of Poppy's lifestyle before. The opposite, actually. He seems to actually enjoy her lifestyle because he's the one that is traveling with her, and Vacation Alex comes out.
It's Vacation Alex!
And after this one argument, Alex decides to end their yearly tradition.
I think this is our last trip together.
Poppy is crying, and my reaction is, what did she do? She called the kiss a mistake and called him a friend, which I think is the appropriate response. Again, I would understand it more if they were both single and if it was an actual kiss, which, by the way, it was in the books. Again, I don't remember really anything in the book, but when I saw the scene, it felt very lackluster and anticlimactic, and it kind of made me remember the books a little bit because I just remember it feeling bigger in the books. And so I looked it up, and they did actually kiss. Now, I do not understand why they changed that, because I think a kiss would have made the scene more dramatic and more profound. So the big mystery of the film was an unclear problem and a lackluster moment, which was fueled by the movie developing their friendship for 60% of the film and then dumping all the problems into one summer. And this is where we get into the too rushed problem. I was already a bit scared coming into this movie because book adaptations, romance, and rom-coms have a bit of a pacing issue, and this movie didn't make it work either. As a result of that, Poppy and Alex weren't fully explored outside their vacation selves. Now, I don't mean giving us more scenes outside of their vacations, but while they're on vacation, it feels like we don't actually find out a lot about Poppy and Alex. Like on their vacations, it feels like we just get the same information about them over and over again. Like on the first trip in Canada, we find out that Poppy is extroverted and spontaneous, and that Alex is more reserved, but that he lets go when he's with Poppy. On the next trip in New Orleans, we find out that Poppy is extroverted and spontaneous, and that Alex lets loose when he's with her. The next summer we see Poppy is sick, and thus they can't go on their yearly vacation. However, Alex decides to go out of his way and fly to Poppy to take care of her. In this vacation, we find out that Poppy and Alex truly care for each other, a fact that we gathered on the last two vacations as well. And so when Tuscany comes and Alex gets mad at Poppy, it feels like it comes out of nowhere. And when it carries into the present, it feels even stranger. In the present, right before Alex's brother's wedding, Alex and Poppy finally confess their feelings for each other. At the wedding, Alex and Poppy have a conversation, and Alex asks Poppy what it means for them now and if she can see herself settling somewhere with him. Poppy doesn't want to talk about it at the very moment, and their argument comes back.
How is it possible that you still don't know what you want? You will always run away.
Because their characters weren't fully explored, like they almost kissed, the problem still remains unclear. Between the Tuscany and this wedding scene also, we have got no further explanation or anything really. And then, of course, this problem gets fixed in like 5 minutes when Poppy gets an epiphany about her lifestyle and then proceeds to quit her job in NYC.
I need to stop. I need to stay in one place for a while. Most people need a vacation from their life, and that was never my problem. I need the life part.
So basically, we have seen Poppy and Alex traveling together for most of this movie, and they seem to love it. And then suddenly, Alex disapproves of that lifestyle, and Poppy all of a sudden goes, "You are so right," and then proceeds to make life-altering decisions. Anyways, after that, Poppy decides to go back to their hometown and chase Alex down to tell him that she's ready for anything as long as she's with him. And then they decide to move back to NYC together. This kind of felt weird because then what was the point of the movie? It felt like the movie was going into the direction of Poppy learning a big life lesson and then her moving back to their hometown to live with Alex and, like she said, to stay in one place for a while.
I need to stay in one place for a while.
But then they end up in NYC again. You know, I feel like they could have just solved this whole problem by not tying it to Poppy's vacationing lifestyle. Like, they could have just led with the fact that Poppy doesn't take relationships seriously, and that's why she's never in a long-term relationship, and Alex wants a serious relationship. And boom, there is the problem. Honestly, as the movie went on, I wished so badly that it was a TV show, because they could have just, each episode could have just focused on one vacation. And while I was reading comments on this movie, I realized I wasn't the only one thinking this. Actually, while watching this movie, all I remembered was this show on Netflix called One Day, which is also a friendship to lovers. But in this show, each episode was focused on one single day every single year of their relationship. And I feel like the movie and the story would have benefited from a TV show. But TV shows are more expensive to make, so I guess it sucks for us. Overall, I do have to say that it was a fun movie and I did enjoy it. Is it going to change the rom-com genre? No. But is it making me excited for what rom-coms can maybe be in the future? Yes. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.